This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, cool, great then. We'll march forward. We'll wait for another 2-3 minutes for Amul to join. I think they're making calls to Amul, so let him come.
Okay. Very good. So by the time we join, I just wanted to when we say the configuration, right?
Mm-hmm.
And uh, uh, demand configuration and SNOP configuration.
Your voice is breaking, Deepak.
Okay. Now is it good?
Better. Yeah, please tell me.
So when we say configuration, right?
Configuration. But Deepak, it's still not audible, Deepak.
Just a minute. Audio options. Okay, is it now?
Yeah, better. Yeah, please tell me.
So when we say configuration, so maybe configuration for demand and configuration for supply. So is there a major difference between them?
Configuration for demand, configuration for supply. Yes, there would be a lot of difference, right? So, like if because the demand planning would be done at a finished good level, and for maybe customer facing thing, um, we might have to create different key figures for some forecast adjustments, and we have to create some new planning levels because the business might want to do forecast at a brand level, then they want to disaggregate to SKU level, etc., etc. So that involves a separate configuration itself, where we have to come up with different key fixes, etc. Whereas supply is more of a building the entire supply chain, like transportation lanes, bomb structures and resources and stuff. So again, even in that, so there would be some inputs which goes into the supply planning. If you're running an optimizer or a heuristic, there would be some inputs like quotas or some costs or some available capacities and etc. And even after running the supply planning algorithms like a heuristic or an optimizer or something, so the results would still be taken and then they would be doing something else. Like in all my implementations, we have also done some cost related. So when I say cost, the supply chain cost. So I incurred $10 to produce a particular product, and I did a production of 50,000 units. So 50,000 into 10 is my production cost on that particular bomb for that product in that particular production location, etc. So there would be other key figures that we have to build on, which uses the supply planning results, and then we have to model something else. So that would require another configuration. And yeah, so basically in the project implementation, there would be two different teams, a demand team and then the supply team. So supply team would be taking all the supply requirements, come up with different key figures, different planning levels, and the different copy operators, snapshot operators, or maybe process chains. So we'll be doing supply planning will be doing their stuff, demand planning will be doing this stuff, and in general on top, if there is a control tower, there would be reporting requirements in general, like all the AOP stuff, annual operating plans, and total overall revenue, and etc., etc. So yeah, so every team has to go through some kind of a configuration, and they have to create these key figures and stuff.
Okay.
Here, the scenario that I think we'll continue. So let me share my screen. I think Amal is not going to join. So the scenario that we went with ahead is the capacity planning. So now this capacity planning, if the supply planning team takes the ownership, then that's fine. But maybe if the capacity planning is a very crucial element in their entire supply planning process, or in general in their planning process, then yes, a dedicated team would be kind of created, and they would be working on all these maintenance related key figures and the master data is required, etc., etc. Okay, so I think these are the key figures that we have created yesterday. So first, there is a key figure called standard available capacity. So this is at a week, resource, location level, and then there is a final available capacity. So there is some calculation involved. We'll park that aside. And then there is Amul has arrived finally. Hey Amul,
Hey, Venkat, sorry, I completely
that's
forgot I'm
fine.
on
So
last time.
yeah, we waited for you, and yesterday also you guys didn't turn up, huh?
No, no, I was there.
Anyway,
Venkat, I
mhm.
joined yesterday. No one was there. I mean, no one has started the meeting also.
But no, I was there in the meeting. Like I waited like for like 6-7 minutes, I think, and then the team also is doing a lot of continuous calls for like 6-7 minutes, and there are some switched offs, and some people are not picking up the call, and etc. Then they gave me a notification that you can drop off. We'll cancel today's call. So anyway, so if
Okay,
you guys getting late, just drop a message to the meeting coordinator because he's the one kind of a Spock, and he lets me know whether to stay in the bridge or to you know come out of the bridge.
okay, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so we just kind of quickly recapping on what we have configured. So we configured a lot, but from a key figures perspective, standard available capacity, this key figure would say that how much of capacity is there will come as a standard for every resource in every location. There is a maintenance start period. It's a flag, 1 or 0. Then there is a if it is one, that means that maintenance activity is happening. There is a maintenance job duration. So this would be the kind of hours that that maintenance activity will go on. This we have configured as an attribute as key figure, because this is a static value, and that comes from that would be a part of a master data. And let's say if it is in the real world, if it is coming from S4, so it just says that inside this plant, for the robotic assembler, for a maintenance job like chemical cleansing, so that takes 25 hours as a standard. So but we want to take that static value 25 and propagate that across the time horizon so that we can do some calculations. So that's why we have made it as attribute as a key figure. And then there is a consumed capacity. This is a calculated again. So uh, so so this goes that if you mark a maintenance job as one for any time bucket, system does the calculation that if it is one, how much capacity it consumes. If you mark one for another job two, how much of job two will consume, and it gives a total summation that how much is totally consumed. And finally, the final available capacity is a simple difference between what is my standard available. 168 hours is my standard available capacity, 24 by 7, all 6 days in a week, all 7 days, 7 days in a week, and the 24 by 7. So 168 hours, and then 100 has been consumed, and 68 hours is a final available capacity on this particular plant, which the production can happen. So we did the configuration, we triggered an activation. So now we'll get into the system, and then we'll do some planning on it, and then we we'll take it up from here. We'll add more complexity to it, and then so now I'm getting into our planning area called test conf 2. So we are inside the planning area. Oh, it is saying that there are no templates in the test config 2. Okay, I think we just created this planning area and activated it. So, okay, we need a planning template. I mean, I can very well query it on this Excel view itself. So I can go and say without template on current sheet. I can bring that up, but it will not be good. So let's go and bring a template. So like in the real world, the IBP in the unified planning area, you will have a bunch of templates, so you can pick up a template and can start building on it. So but for now on, I'll get into another planning area, so where I have some templates. So I'll just bring that up. So first I established a connection to the planning area that I want. So there is a template called demand planning here. So this is a template. Let me now log out. That means I'm closing the connection. Now I'm again jumping into our planning area, test config 2. So now I'll attach this template with our test config, and I load it into the cloud so that this would be available. And before that, let's go and build some master data. I think there are no master data available. So we need the locations, some production facilities, and then we need some resources, and we have to create some maintenance jobs. Maintenance activity is a master data, custom master data. We created that. And then there is a location resource master data where we assign a resource to a particular location. You can have 50 assemblers, robotic and manual. You have to extend them to a particular plant, right? So here, what is that? Those location resource. maintenance. So the compound master data. Now let's go to the location. So I should have done it through it is saying no data found. There is no data. Of course, we know that. We're going to load it now. I'm usually I should run upload a data integration job through a flat file, but yeah, I can also do this thing. So just coming here, saying that in a plant on the word, um, two plants. Yes, the data has been loaded. Now go to the resource master data. It is saying no data found. Yes, there is no. So now I'm loading the resource IDs. So I'll say robotic assembler 101, 201, 101. Let's just say saving it. Now maintenance activity. I think we have loaded some maintenance activity already. Okay, so 3 attributes in it: chemical cleansing, dry vacuum services, oil wash. John is a technician responsible for these maintenance activities. Steve is responsible for oil wash. These two are preventive maintenance, whereas oil wash is a shutdown. Okay, now comes to the location resource. So this is where we assign 4 resource IDs to plants. Okay, I think this is wrong. Um, yes, robotic assembler 101 map to plant 101. Robotic assembler 201 is mapped to plant 201. Again, with the case of manual 101, 101, 201, 201. Okay, great. Saving it. And there are some other attributes. If you see here, they all are supply related stuff. Once we go there, we'll talk about it. Like, what is a constraint type? It is a F means a finite. If you leave it blank, that means it's an infinite. So there would be no, capacity restrictions on it. So when you run an optimizer, it will not hold its production based on the available capacity here. So there is one capacity supply, that how much is available capacity. If you want to expand, you can say that I can expand it to maximum, like 168 hours is a standard available. 50 is my expansion. That means I can do over shifts over time, and there are some time indicators, etc. So we'll see that once we get into supply planning. But for now, you know this is a custom master data. Again, we're building. It is called maintenance job location resource, priority of the maintenance upgrade. So now this is where the mapping comes in, huh? So how we map. So all 3 jobs, so plant 101 robotic assembler undergoes all 3 jobs. The duration is, I'm just giving some random numbers. Let's just say, let's go with this. Robotic assembler is the most advanced. So I would say just 20 hours, 30 hours. But whereas oil wash, let's say it takes 60 hours, something like that. And then again, the same jobs will be done on the. So this is where. So if you don't want anything, let's say. Um, you don't have to do dry vacuum for the manual assemblers. So manual assemblers usually take a lot of time, just saying it. Okay, now the same bunch and to the So maybe in the real brave world, all these things might come from S4 system. Who knows it? Once we build that integration. So just give 10, 10, 10. So priority of the maintenance job, I'll give oil wash as the highest priority anywhere. But in the manual assembler, everything is high, let's say. So this is for your reporting purposes, your filtration purposes, your, your effective planning purposes, etc. If you have this attribute and if it is holding high, medium, low, maybe you can assign a particular high priority maintenance job to a particular user group, low priority to a particular user group, or etc., etc. So the importance of these characteristics. So what all we can do. So yes, we have built our master data. Okay, so let's come back here. And so what else we have to load from a key figure? But I think only one key figure, that is your standard available capacity. Because this is a standard key figure. This is a standard capacity that you require, and then you have to load it. So, and rest all are calculated ones. So let's say here this is a manually loaded, or maybe it has to come from S4 or something. This is a calculated. Um, I would say backend manual loaded. Maintenance start period, planner has to go and specify that this is a manual entry. And job duration, this is a system, the system calculated. So guys, when you guys go with as I told that there would be different teams working on in the same IBP implementation. Like, so we'll be coming up with some kind of a template like this as a team. So we'll be going and updating all our configuration in there, especially the key figures and then the planning levels. So, and then we also go with some kind of a naming convention. If it is a demand planning related, we give a name called ZDP, and the technical name, so not in the key figure description, business description, but from a technical perspective as a consultant, we're going to take care of the backend. So we'll give something like ZDP. So here I think I gave a naming convention called M job so that I can uniquely identify all the yeah. So these are all the M job, ZM job, start period, etc. So if it is a demand planning one, you have to create a ZDP. I'm just saying as an indication, as a best practices, so that by saying the key figure technical name itself, you will be understanding that okay, this is a demand planning team's element. The second thing is that you have to make a tracker like this, and then you have to specify all this stuff, that what is this key figure, what is the purpose of it, and then this, like the source, how this key figure would be loaded. So some key figures could be manually loaded. So because there are just 5 key figures now, it is making sense. But imagine like some planning areas will be having almost like 1,000 key figures. In the second project, we have almost 1,300 key figures are there, and SAP came into the picture and they said that it's going to hamper your cloud performance because you have taken a very restrictive cloud space. So the key figures can shoot up to any level. And if you don't specify the source, then kind of this thing. And if it is a system calculated, you have to create another column and then say that what is the logic, how the calculation will happen. And if it is a manual entry, the planners will be well aware that okay, this is a manually maintained one, so I have to be very careful about the way I know what all I punch in here. Okay, so now let's load the standard available capacity also here. So let's go here, master data workbook. Again, I can do it through a load file from a data integration job in insert and update mode, if you guys remember, or I can do it from the master data workbook only. So here I'm coming here in this drop down, I'm picking up the planning objects. Now it gives me the planning levels. I need to go to that weak resource location. So I think here we have it lists all the 7 key figures that are there. There are 7 key figures that were configured at this level. So I'll go and pick up the standard available capacity. I'll say this is in edit mode. I'll go to the time. I'll pick up the current time bucket 24, and then click on OK. Then system opens up another kind of a CSV file, and it is saying no data found, and obviously there is no data. So now here I need to maintain this. What is a key figure? And obviously the key figure has to match with this is a key figure, standard available capacity. And this is 168 hours across. I'm saving changes. You can give a comment. Okay, so yeah, we're done with this. Back end manual loaded, we did this. Now let's go back to our planning view. So this is having some crazy statistical blah blah blah. Now let's go and edit this view. So we want the location ID and the resource ID, and then the maintenance job ID, key figures, standard available capacity, and then not job duration. Okay, we'll also pick up the job duration, and then the start period, and then the consumed capacity, and then the final available capacity. Okay, clicking on OK. It is saying there is no filter. That's fine. Okay, this is all kind of cluttered. Just please bear with me, guys, here. So yeah, so it's all looking crazy, right? Let's do something here. Let me go to the standard available capacity. I'm going to do some banding here. I'm adding a member, key figure member. Standard available capacity. So this is, come on, this is Calibri. Format cell, border. I'll have a border on top. Okay, we'll come to the label. I also want to have a border on top here. Great. Come back to forecast. To IBP, refresh. Oh, is it too much? Okay. Format. Or maybe this. I think this would do. This is what usually we follow. Some just a dotted border so that it differentiates planning combination to planning combination. Okay, so yeah, this is one set. Plant 101, resource manual assembler. You said only 2 jobs. That's where 2 jobs are coming in. But whereas robotic assembler, 3 jobs are there. First key figure is standard available capacity 168. Final available is also 168. Why? Because there is no maintenance happening. So now let's do some maintenance here. So chemical planning, I'll 25th period, I'll say 1. I want chemical. I want to do chemical this. I also want to do oil wash. Okay, I'll go and save the data. Okay, the final available is -12. Crazy. Let's put an alert on this, maybe when we do the configuration. So but for now on, so you said you're going to do 1 as that means 80 hours it will take. You also said oil wash is 100. So the consumed is 80 here, the consumed is 100 here, so that is 180. Final is coming in -12. So now we'll go step by step, guys. So first we'll explore the attribute as a key figure functionality. If you guys remember, we configured this job duration is a CO2M job duration. This is an attribute, and then we created this as an attribute as key figure. So that value is being copied across this thing. Okay, so now let's change that and see. So where was that? So this is a manual assembler, chemical cleaning. You said 80, right? So now I'll go and change this to 11. I'll save it. Number of records changed 1. Number of records changed 1. So everything became 11, 11, 11. So you guys are getting me? The attribute as a key figure. So attribute means it's a static value, just a 1 or like some value, integer value. And if you model that as a key figure, then system extends that static value to the as a key figure, and it just copies all the values across the horizon that you specify in the configuration part. So the typical use cases would be the unit prices that we come from as for that comes from S4 system for materials. Let's say there is a finished good, and then there's a unit price maintained in Mara table or and somewhere and in the S4 or ERP system. So and then they bring that value like $5, so that comes and sits in an attribute as a key figure. So now you can take that finished good price and use that in different calculations for revenues and for the cost you incurred, for the profit you make, and etc, etc. So it's all like $5 across the time horizon. So next month, like let's say from this is June month, July, August, it's all $5. And even if you have a value in December 2019, some quantity is there, you multiply it with the unit price, you get the revenue. Fine. Next month they did something in the FICO module, something just happened, and the price has increased a bit up, so it became $6. So when interface is happening next month, let's say that interface is running every month, usually it happens also like every day. So let's say the interface ran on next month, so now system updates that 555 to 6, but it will not update the previous value, that is the June month. Why? Because in the configuration you said from period is 0. That means from current period you have to copy the value. So when the interface is running on July, system would update the $6 from July till the horizon that you specified. So the history values would still be there. You guys understood or not?
Yeah, Venkat. So one question. So is this specific to, I mean, in this example, is it specific to this maintenance ID, resource ID, and location ID, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. So let me say this is this is maintenance plan. Okay, now let's create a detailed view. So I'm saying clicked on from, copy current sheet. So here I'll say this is overall plan, or maybe final plan. So here maybe, so this is another view created for supply planner where you don't want to know what maintenance activities are happening, blah blah blah. So there is no maintenance in his dimension, so you don't want to know what jobs are running, let's say. So he just wants to know what is my available, what is the consumed, and what is the final available. So now system does the aggregation. So system shows this up. So he says that in my plant 101 for manual assembler, 168 is my standard. The maintenance activity is consuming 111, and I am left with only 57. So I have to do my production with only 57 units of available capacity. Okay, so like two views. So in the same view, so this is a detailed view where planner can go and punch us in, and he sees the duration that it is taking. So if it is cluttering, if it is cluttering, so if the planner knows, if the maintenance planner knows that how much of the duration that every maintenance activity takes, then there is no point of listing the job duration also. Just hide this up, because we have to make our planning views as cleaner as possible, put very less data, and then you also need the consumed capacity also, also take this off, how much is consumed. It's a kind of a basic math, and they don't want to. I'm just saying that the kind of different ways of creating this template. So all you have to do is punch in ones and zeros, ones and zeros, ones and zeros. So keep one here, and then keep one here, save the data. Okay, so I think chemical cleaning only taking 10 units of the capacity. That's why it is 157. Here also 157. This is it. Okay, now let me save this template. We need at least one template in this planning area. It's called maintenance planning. Okay. So let's do give. Just want to show you something, guys. The heat maps. Just just giving that some. Saving it. So just want to show you the heat maps, how they'll come in handy. So you guys are understanding, right? I mean, you guys are following it up, right?
Uh, yeah, with some challenges actually.
Oh yeah, please go on, please shoot. So
So we did at attribute level, so that I didn't understood.
what is that? Or maybe I'll say one thing. Once this is done, once our this session is done, maybe during the course of the day, maybe revisit this video, or think about it for some time, try to digest it. Because this entire thing is happening as per the planning level. What is planning level? Planning level is nothing but the it's a combination of all master data attributes, right? So digest it, and if you still have questions, tomorrow please shoot it up step by step, question by question. We can handle it. So I'm just creating a view, the views that would come in handy, because as a consultants we have to, you know, suggest our things to the business, because what's the best way to report or plan, or the ways to analyze it. Okay, so now I am plotting a key figure for job duration. Sure, that will work to revisit the videos and then short question. Great. Job duration. No, not job duration. Yeah, not this. I'll say start period. That means when when a maintenance job has to happen. Okay, system said 26. That means 26 jobs are happening because start period is 1 or 0. Now I'm grouping by week. Okay, and then by the location, and by the resource. Okay, so now I'll change the view to a heat map. Ah, it just got stuck. Saying doesn't have a filter, that's why it is. That's fine. And this is going to 2020 also, not required. Yeah, this is getting. I don't know when the session happens. This gets crazy. Let me just go and put some filter. I will say from current period to. Yeah, I think this is fine. Some periods are there. Okay. So you can see this. So you can see ones and zeros. So one means that there is a maintenance activity happening. Two means there are two maintenance activities are happening. So inside the manual assembler. So this is one nice way on. You can just further beautify it. Let me just arrange the week should go to the top. These are the weeks, and this is the plant 10 and plant 102, and it is showing no value. So I think I have something called suppress the nulls. Think it will just take off those values. I take off those cells, I think. Okay, it is still showing nulls. This one. Okay, I'll off this thing. Now it is showing the darker and the light blue. Darker means two maintenance activities are happening. So let's say we want to have the visibility of the maintenance job also. So let me bring up that dimension also, maintenance job ID. So yeah, again, let me focus on the grouping by the sequence of it. Let's say week should go on to the top. No, I think, yeah, 1 second now. Yeah, you guys have to come up something like this, and then present it to the business. If they like it, they'll take this chart as it is. or they can do some tweaking on top. So yeah, so the kind of this is how you can create something like this for a particular region. If there are some plants and etc., so they just see this heat map and they'll know that there is activity happening. So with this we'll know that too much of activities are happening in this time frame. Why the oil wash and chemical cleansing are happening side by side on one single resource in one single plant. Not supposed to do that, right? So I mean, the maintenance activity, if you have done it once, you shouldn't happen it like every now and then, right? You're getting it, right? So how to use the analytics also in here. Now let's come back to the view. I know this might go over the top because we got some break. This might all. So what we're doing today, so what we did is yeah, first we verified the configuration, all the key figures and everything, and then we loaded the master data. We loaded the locations, we loaded the type of resources are there, and then maintenance jobs are anyway there. So maintenance jobs, and then these are all simple master data. Then we did the compound master data, then we did location resource, and then we did location resource, and then maintenance job. So we did all this, and in the maintenance job we also gave job duration, that is attribute as a key figure. Then we loaded the standard capacity, 1 CST hours. Then what we did, then we went with the planning. So we gave specified when maintenance activity has to be triggered. So we used something called job duration, no, start period as 1, means that the maintenance activity will happen on that particular combination, like that particular time period, week, and on that plant, on that resource, this particular maintenance activity will happen. So after that we have verified the capacity consumed. So this is automatic calculation based on the flag, that is job period, and with the job duration. This is an attribute as a key figure. And then we verified the final available capacity. Right, this is summation of total standard with the capacity that is consumed. What else we did? So we have seen the attribute as key figure, how it functions, right? I gave a static value, it just populated it across. Okay, and then we did some analytics, that is fine. So some heat map. So now I'll show you the EPM formatting. As let's say the requirement is that the planner has either to enter a 1 or a 0. 1 means it has to start. 0 or null means nothing. That's it. Okay. So how to restrict that? Restricting the user entry. Obviously, I can't make it as a non-editable. It has to be an editable key figure, because then only the planner can go and give 1 and then save it. It has to be editable, but the entry has to be restricted. So from a configuration perspective, there is nothing straightforward. We cannot do anything. There is another thing that will I think this is too early to talk about it, but yeah, anyway, I'll tell it to you. So let's say there is something called as a frozen horizon. Frozen horizon for maintenance activity, that you say that for plant 101, don't give any new plan for next 1 month, because plant 101 cannot take anything in the plant for the current month. So now we are in June, July, August. So this is a requirement, guys. I'm talking from a requirement perspective, and then I did the reverse engineering to the configure. So let's say we're in the June month and we did some planning activity, and then we did the calculation, and then this is available capacities that happened because of the maintenance team, whatever inputs they gave. June is there. Once we move on to the next month, July month, the requirement is that in July month, planner shouldn't change anything. Whatever has been previously planned, system has to take that up. No new changes. That means that in the first 4 buckets, or like whatever it is, so the planner shouldn't enter 1 or a 0. I mean, they shouldn't able to change the values, but they can very well change the values in the August. So they can go and change it. Okay, in August, shutdown maintenance has to be done. We forgot it. There's a leak in the plant. High priority. Please do some oil wash in August. You can do that, but for current period, you're not supposed to do that. I hope you guys understood the requirement, but just please keep that in mind. We'll do it later on as a time, as I said, that we'll take this requirement and then we'll make it complex, and then we'll keep on building it. But for now, the requirement is that user shouldn't enter either a 1, and he should enter only 1, or just leave it as it is, but nothing else. No 0.5, no 2, no this and that. Okay, how to do that? That can be done through EPM formatting sheet. Let's go in there. And I'm using that traditional classic Excel functionality called data validation. Okay, but combining it with EPM. As usual, I have to add a member. I'm adding the member called job start period. It lists all the key figures. I'll go to the ID view so that they'll get sorted. I'll scroll down to Z key figures. Job start period is there here. So here I'll click on, oh, come on. So here, right click. So usually what you used to do here, so this column F, which is having a header name called data, that means how the data has to appear in the planning views. So now if I go and change this to, so we talked about it, right? So if I change this to Abadi, and then if I give this high this crazy thing, if I come here and if I do a refresh, so whatever you have applied on that particular cell would come like this. Crazy, right? So this is what happens. This we have seen. We keep on working on it, right? In the EPM, we're opening and then doing it. So, but that is not what I'm going to do now. So again, picking up that key figure. I just remove that entry, click on that remove. That particular member would be gone out. So you bring the members, you specify the formatting that you want on that number, you save it, and then you save it. Now I'll come here, right click. So the moment you click on right click, EPM comes in, and under that EPM there is something called data validation. Just followed it, right click, EPM, data validation. So now here you're saying that decimal not equal to value of 1. The input message you have to say is data input guideline, something like that. The message is please maintain only 1 or null. I think this is good enough for invalid entry. either a 1 or null. Okay, done. This is how it comes, and then here the column H is saying that how you want to use it. So whatever formatting that you gave on that particular cell, so how, what all you want to do it. So I just want to use the only the data validation in the number format, and then this is the label. uh, cool with the label, I mean no changes, so just say none. See here, I'm clicking on anything, it is showing this thing. So planner sees it. Let's say the planner wants to maintain something here, so he says that says 2. What, this is not working, I think. It's not supposed to take 2. This is wrong. Okay, 1 second, let me go here. What just happened? Okay. mm, no. What should I enter? This is one. More. Okay, yeah, so this is it, I think. Please either maintain a 1 or a null. Retry. I'll maintain 1. Yeah, now it is taking. So you guys are getting it? Yeah, cool. Thanks. So yeah, so this is one way, but this is not as per configuration, because we haven't done anything from a configuration perspective. We are not restricting the key field called start period, and nothing we have done from a configuration perspective, but this is from an EPM. And if the planner has to maintain any data, change the data, so he has to come to the Excel planning view, and then he has to, with this thing we can say this is one, says that please maintain either 1 or a null, like that. Okay, cool. Just closing this off. Restricting the user entry. So what we have to do in here, in the APM formatting sheet, and then under the data, choose APM data validation, and then the rules for validation, and then navigate to the planning view, refresh, and verify the data validation rules. Okay, so this is one, and let's so today I'll also talk about the planning notes, another kind of a great future which will make the business planners happy. So wherever there is transparency, they like it. Okay, what is a planning note? Planning note is a note that a planner can leave upon a textual note, so that the note will be saved onto the cloud system, so that other planners can also see the note that he has left. Okay, so if I go to the So for that you have to make the system. So there is this M job start period. I said that enable planning notes is tick marked. That means it will have the planning notes. So now the data validation is gone because I removed that member property. Now it's all ones or zeros. So now to get the planning notes activated, you need to go to the edit view under the key figures tab. These are all the available key figures. These are the selected ones. You selected 3 and their sequence, and then below that there is something called display planning notes. Here you're saying show from this planning level only. Okay, now what does this mean? So now I give a note here. See, right click, add planning note. I'm creating a planning note. Just leaving a note here. So now a note is been saved. There is this icon comes in, so you click on it, it would show. So if you want to see more details about this note, same, click on right click, show planning notes. Now we'll display the entire planning note. Let's go cell by cell. So this is the first cell. So here it is saying that this is a draft. That means the note is just been drafted. It is not saved into the HANA cloud. What is a note? This is a note that scheduling chemical cleaning activity as per the plant manager inputs. The value is 1. So what value I maintain? I maintain 1. So that value comes in here. The timestamp when it is being changed by. You can edit this. You can delete this. This time period, 25th time period you gave it, and location you said plant 101, and this is manual assembler. Then this is a maintenance job. You click on OK. Then when you save it, so you see planning view details, cells changed are 0, but whereas planning notes changed are 1. That means one note has been saved. Okay, this has been saved now. So right, if you go and do show planning notes, you will see that there is this save icon coming in. That is, this means stored. Now this note is available across. Now I'll say this is 0. Adding another note. Change in plan, postponing chemical cleaning activity to next month in order to meet the production targets, something like that. I can save it. It's like it will keep on having notes. So now I do a right click, show planning notes. It would show me all the notes. So first note is this. On this timestamp he made this note, and after that he changed it, and you can also see how the value is changing. So initially there was 1, and after that it has been changed 0 with this note. You guys are getting it? So to have this from a planning view perspective, you have to go to edit view, key figures. If you say don't show, then planning notes will not be showed. So see, right click, there's nothing. And also you cannot even add a note here. So two things. First thing is you have to specify that that first of all a key figure has to be enabled for planning notes. So you go to the key figure and you say this is enable planning notes, and usually we give it for the key figures where there is some user entry, right? And when the user is changing it, and if we have the planning discipline, we'll also let the planner to give some comment, a textual comment, so that others will also know. So like, what are we achieving here? So we are achieving the same thing, that is a transparency and collaboration. So like, we're also recording the decision. So whatever decision that he has taken, he's saying that he wants to schedule and maintenance activity. He has left a comment on why he wants to have the, a maintenance activity there. So that's one from a configuration perspective. Second thing is, if the planning view has to display it, you have to in the edit view, and then so here in the key figures, there are three options here. First is don't show. That means it will not show any planning notes. Either a planner can enter a planning note. The second thing is show from this planning level only. So what does it mean? So this means that whatever the planning level that you have selected here, so what level you have selected, there are three things here. That is location ID, resource ID, and maintenance job ID. So at this level, if there is any key figure which is having enable planning note, only that would be displayed. Okay, let's say there is another key figure called as a production plan, adjusted production plan, where a planner can go and say that how much of production has to happen. So that production plan would be at a different level. Like what is a source ID, we call it an IBP. It's a kind of equivalent to PPM. Not exactly PPM, it's kind of a bomb structure. So the production is at that source ID level. So location, product, source ID level. That means one single product inside a location can have multiple bombs, so multiple source IDs. So that production plan was at source ID level. Even that key figure can take a note, and that you can bring it up here. So you say that adjusted production. So there is this key figure, production. So this is an adjusted value, a user entry. But if you select only this from this planning level only, system will not show any note for this. System would show note only for this start period. Why? Because in this view, this sheet has a planning level of location, resource, maintenance job. And that planning level is valid only for this. Okay. If you say show from all levels, that means every key figure would be listed with the planning note. So you guys are getting me? And usually, majority of the cases when we make a worksheet inside a template, we usually bind all the related key figures, and obviously we'll not bring production receipts into this sheet. Why will we bring a production receipt until and unless this is some kind of a crossover? So if it is some executive level planning view, then yes, he wants to see multiple touch points. Then he might want to see the maintenance activity, and then also production plan, and then also the demand, etc., etc. But yeah, usually we'll bundle all the related key figures onto single view. Okay, so coming to so that's about the planning notes, guys. So okay, so here I can also do some reporting at just the, let's say, so we have created something, right? Let's say technician name. What is it? Technician name? Maintenance job technician. Let's say start period. So I'm just giving you guys that kind of reporting that we can do from the config that we have just done. So say that don't show. Okay, say this. So okay, so this John, maintenance job technician, is doing 3 jobs in the week 24. So yeah, maybe we need a planning note, and we just save it and say that John is so busy on week 24. He's not a he-man. He cannot do all jobs on one single week. So something like that, Steve, some of you like this. And see, I mean, why I have included those attributes. I'm just showing you here now so that you can do some reportings. If there is a requirement to do specific requirements, then yes, you have to pay priority of maintenance job. So let's do this. Now I'm viewing my maintenance plan as per the for the priority, that high priority, the 3 jobs are happening. And then if you want to also have add an attribute after maintenance job ID. So high priority chemical cleaning, that maintenance activity is happening 2 times across your plants. Oil wash is happening 1 time across your plants. And then so this is how you can, for multiple planners, you can create multiple views. And obviously depends upon the requirement. That, like, let's say if the requirement is that there is a maintenance planner, he wants to see as per the priority of the maintenance job, and he just wants to have a count that how many in a particular time bucket, how many of these maintenance activities will happen across my supply chain network. I can have 20 plants, and I can have 20 resources. That means 20 into 20. Now, let's just say that there are these many places that I can do some maintenance activities. And yeah, so this is it. Okay, I think this has gone too much for today. So yeah, we'll any doubts till now, guys? So tomorrow we'll come up with a fresh requirement, and then we'll start this thing. So what I'll do is tomorrow we'll create an alert key figure. So some kind of alerts that if my final available is less than the minimum threshold that I want to maintain, that like this plant 101 for the next quarter, I want to have a minimum of 150 to be available, so that I can make my like whatever. So if I maintain some thresholds, if my final available is less than that, I want to have an alert. And now this is a alert key figure. That means a configuration has to be done, not like a custom alert where we do it in the front end interface. So and so alert key figure, and then we'll take some snapshots. The snapshot, right? So now you take a snapshot of one plan. And then like let's say, so like this is a plan, and then you take a snapshot. And then like after this after the entire maintenance activity is done, means like the maintenance plan is done. Once the maintenance planner said that okay, this is a plan, we'll go with it, you take a snapshot. And then in July month you do some changes. This has become 150, this becomes 140, this becomes 120. So now you can see the comparison, that how the plan is evolving, how his plan is changing. So last month you said you're going to do 140, I took a snapshot of it. Now you're saying this plan is going to 150. Why there is a variance? If the variance is like, if you want to have another key figure, let's say there is some kind of a variance. So the variance is I'm not getting the formula. I think this should do. Or is it? No, I think this is wrong. This is divided by 150. And this is in percentages. Okay. So this is 200. And this is 20. Okay. So let's just say there is this is a plan. You took a snapshot, you're preserving the plan so that you want to compare it with the future. Like that is what we do, right? So what is a plan? Plan is a stick to control your activities or something. So yeah, so this is your snapshot you took. This is a plan, but the plan got changed in July and August. You take the variance, that there's a huge variance on August, and if the variance is greater than this much, again I want to have an alert. So or do something with it. Or if this is kind of requirements that we have, and we have to do come up with the key figures and write some calculations, and then put something. So tomorrow we'll create the alert key figures and snapshot key figures, and also we'll we'll introduce more this thing into this maintenance activity, and then we'll continue. Any doubts, guys, today?
No, Venkat, I'm good.
Good, thanks. Yeah, so this might and just one small thing, guys. I mean, if you try to map everything with the APO, then this might be, kind of this thing. But I would suggest that just try to have some kind of fresh perspective. Then this will make more sense, especially the planning levels and etc. Attributors, key figures, and this compound master data and stuff. So yeah, yes, Deepak, you have a doubt.
So this maintenance planning, just related to my first question. So maintenance planning, we seeing this. So this is same like we're also doing demand as well as supply in this.
Yes, exactly. So, but like for demand, so demand is a different thing. So demand, even though we need key figures, even though we need planning levels, at what level you want to do planning, you want to do it at product family level, disaggregate to SKU level. So those all mathematical things are there. But in usually in demand planning, there are some stuff like statistical forecasting is there. So you will have a linear regression, blah blah blah, simple moving arrows, something you get it. And then there is a new product introduction. So there is another feature called, you are introducing a new product, then you don't have a history for that new product. You want to feed on to another existing product, so that the existing, like, iPhone 10 is there, iPhone 11 is coming in, so iPhone 11 doesn't have any sales history, so that they can do some forecast for iPhone 11. So how they can do some forecast for it, so that they can do some production, they can do some transportation, they can make the stock available. So but how I can do the forecasting is the first step. So first you need to know how much I'm going to sell iPhone 11 in July, August, September. There is no history. So what you can do is you can map that to the existing product, iPhone X, and take the sales history of iPhone X and use some forecasting algorithm, like linear regression or ARIMA or something, maintain alpha, beta, gamma, etc., etc. Get the forecast. That's one thing in the demand planning. There's also something called as a data realignment. So realignment always happens, right? Like say the product family is shifting from, like, now iPhone X becomes a part of maybe their Mac division, let's just say. Or maybe you are having 3 DCs, you are closing down all 3 DCs, and you're coming up with something called as a regional DC. So now whatever data is there for DC1, DC2, DC3 has to be realigned to RDC, and then you have some forecast measures, and like you like, what is your you said in the August or in the January 2019, you said this is my forecast 100, but the actual is 120, and then calculate all that mean, absolute error, blah blah blah. So these are all the functions are available for the demand planning act, this thing. And then there's always this configuration piece is always there. So you have to create all key figures to support all these three, right? Again, for supply planning, a different story. Supply planning is where you maintain some so here not much dependent on the master data here, but whereas with the supply plannings you have to create whole set of master data, transportation lanes, bomb structures, quotas, and this and that, etc. So you have to touch base on the master data, and then you have the heuristic algorithm, and then you have the optimizer algorithm, and etc, etc. Again, as I said, once you got the optimizer results, you want to do something with those results. Yeah, some results you'll interface it with S4. Whatever production plan you have, you send it to S4, to PP module or maybe PPDS module for more detailed scheduling, or maybe to create that as a production order and do the production. Or maybe some results, maybe take some safety stock outputs that optimizer is giving in, and then do some tweaks on it, and then do some calculations on top of it, and then come up with some other plan which you will use it for XYZ purpose. Again, there is a configuration that is coming in. You have to create new key figures, new planning levels, come up with the key figure calculation logics, maybe do some copy operators, this and that. So yeah, so all are like different things. And maintenance planning, as I'm saying, this is a custom thing. So there is no such thing as a maintenance activity in IBP. I'm just taking this as a directional thing and showing it to you that what all can be with the IBP structure, with the configuration structure that IBP gave, with this key figures, planning levels, and this attribute as key figures and alerts and this and that. So what all you can plan. So you can very well take this maintenance job and create something else master data like master data. You can do some HR planning with it. It might not be robust enough, but you can very well play with HR numbers. In one of the other projects I was talking, we did something called container planning. So container planning means if you there is a transportation lane from plant to DC, there are 5 products you are shipping in, then you are shipping 10,000 units. Like every week you have 3 different containers: heavy container, large container, small container. Every container will have a different capacity to it. Product 1, it can hold 10,000 units. Product 2, it can only do 5,000 units, etc. So with that data that you have, and with this plan of ship 10,000 units, and I have these containers with me, so how many containers I'll incur to meet that 10,000 shipment. Will I be ending up using 3 of my big containers or 2 of my small containers, etc., etc. So this is kind of a sub planning that you do, and it requires creating some custom master data called container master data. Give a container ID, give a container capacity, and etc., etc. So yeah, so you have to take this thing and then try to connect the dots, etc. Like for example, I'm saying this container is a master data, and then this will have a container ID, and then a container brand. Let's just say Merck, or logistics, Indian logistics, TVS logistics, whatever. So now there's something called a container capacity. So can I make the container capacity as a part of uh, container master data? I would say no. Why? Because the container capacity will be changing based on the product you keep. So that's why I have to create, there will be a master data called product master data already available. So now you have to create a compound master data. It's called container product. So in this container product, what you will do is here you will, sorry?
Yeah, and I got your point, like on the compound thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, container product. And then here you will say that container capacity. So you say container C101 is my Merck container, big one. So SKU1, it can hold, if let's say this is like laptops, so this can hold 1,000. But if it is a C1 same container, if you're sending smartphones, I can actually do 2,000. And then use this attribute container capacity, use it for in different calculations, and then come up with some final figures like how many containers I'll incur, I have to use to do the shipment that my supply planning team has given. So yeah, so this is all directional thing. So
Venkat,
once you this,
a quick
yes,
question.
Abhinav.
So the container capacity, the example that you were giving, so when the compound key figure that will be creating, or the compound master data, sorry, that will be creating, is it container product or is it container product resource? Because capacity is a resource attribute, correct?
Yes, agree. So I mean, yeah, it's about the way you interpret it. If you interpret the container itself as a resource, then
Okay.
fine. Or
Okay.
otherwise you can create something like transportation resource,
Got it.
something like
Okay.
that.
Got it. Thanks.
Because usually when we're saying resource here, we assuming that these are production resources, like all these manufacturing assembly, manual assembly, robotic assembly. So yeah,
Got
it's
it.
it's the way that we model everything.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're not stopping here, guys. We'll spend another minimum a couple of more days just on the configuration part, and then we'll get into the modules: demand planning, supply planning, etc. And we'll cover up all the futures that are there in the configuration. So with that, I think majority of the requirements can be met. So yeah, with a lot of z tables and stuff. Okay, we'll touch base tomorrow, guys. Please absorb this, and then tomorrow guys can shoot up more questions.
So, Venkat, please request these backend people to load this video as soon as possible so that we'll get a chance to.
Oh yeah, sure, Deepak. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Venkat.
Thank you.